All right, so welcome back, everybody. Are you ready for another deep dive?
I sure am.
Well, great. Today, um, we're going to be tackling something that I think we can all relate to, uh, staying focused when there are a million distractions around us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Huh?
And ever wished you had a little bit more willpower to kind of power through that to-do list.
All the time.
Well, this study that we're looking at today might have the answer.
Okay.
And get this, it involves Batman.
Wow, really? That's right. It's called the Batman effect.
The Batman effect. I love
Yeah.
it already.
It's a 2017 study from the journal Child Development,
Okay.
and the researchers wanted to find out if thinking like Batman could actually help kids focus and work harder.
So, like channeling that superhero discipline.
Exactly.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
But before we get into, like, the bat details,
Okay.
let's talk about perseverance in general.
Right.
I mean, we all know it's important to, stick with things and see them through.
Yes.
But why is perseverance so crucial, especially for kids?
Perseverance is about more than just finishing your homework or getting your chores done.
Right.
It's a foundational skill that really sets kids up for success in all areas of their life. School, relationships, even pursuing their passions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's about learning to push through those challenges, learning to resist those tempting distractions, and ultimately achieving their goals.
So where does Batman come in? Like, do kids literally dress up as the Caped Crusader for this study?
Not quite,
Okay.
but they do tap into that superhero mindset.
Okay.
The study focused on a technique called self-distancing.
Self-distancing. Okay.
Yeah, so imagine you're kind of stuck on a really tough problem.
Yeah.
Self-distancing is kind of like taking a mental step back from that immediate frustration,
Yeah.
So you're creating some space between you and the challenge, which can help you see things more clearly and come up with a solution.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see how Batman might fit in here. So does this mean, like, the kids are actually, like, pretending to be Batman while they work?
Exactly.
No way.
Yeah. So the researchers gave a group of 4- and 6-year-olds
Okay.
a boring computer task.
All right.
Think of it as the digital equivalent of homework,
Yeah.
right?
Got it.
But here's the catch. They put a super tempting iPad
Uh-huh.
full of games right next to them.
Oh, the ultimate test.
It was like the ultimate willpower test, yeah.
Oh, man, I can already picture my little nephew in that scenario.
Right.
He'd be all over those games.
Oh, yeah.
So what? Some of the kids were told to, like, ask themselves while they were working, like, am I working hard?
Yeah, so some of the kids were told to ask themselves, am I working hard? Another group used their own names, and they would ask, and then they'd say their name, working hard.
Right.
But the most interesting group, they got to pretend to be a high-achieving character, like
Okay.
Batman or Dora the Explorer, or even Bob the Builder.
It's a good lineup.
Yeah, so they would ask, is Batman working hard?
Wait, so they just, like, pretended to be Batman? Yeah. And that helped them focus. I mean, that sounds almost too good to be true.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the results are pretty compelling.
Okay.
The kids in that, Batman group, or what they called the exemplar group in the study,
Right.
they worked significantly longer on the boring task than those who were just focused on themselves.
Wow, so it's not just because, like, Batman's cool.
Right.
Right. It's about that self-distancing thing.
Exactly. It's about the self-distancing.
So by pretending to be somebody else, they were able to separate themselves from that immediate urge to just go play the games.
Right. And it's like they're tapping into like an outside perspective
Yeah.
to kind of gain that clarity and motivation.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like stepping into a different role helps you see the bigger picture and not get, like, bogged down by the immediate temptation.
Exactly.
That's faster.
And think about it. We do this all the time as adults too, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like when you're giving a presentation, you might think to yourself, well, what would a confident speaker do?
Oh, totally.
Or if you're facing a tough decision, you might ask yourself, what would, my mentor do in this situation?
Right, yeah.
So it's all about tapping into that external perspective.
It's like a mental superpower we can all access.
Exactly.
That's amazing. But you mentioned this study was done with, like, little kids.
Yeah.
Did they actually get into character? Like, did they talk as Batman while they were
Yeah,
working?
some of them did, yeah.
What? No way.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, actually.
That's amazing.
The paper mentioned kids saying things like, Batman is working hard, and then going back to the task.
That's so cute.
It's adorable.
Oh, my gosh. I love that.
It's like they were actually channeling their inner superhero, which is really cute.
Yeah, and it really drives home that point that self-distancing isn't just about thinking differently. It's about changing the way you talk to yourself.
Exactly.
That's powerful. I'm already thinking about all the different characters my nephew could try this with.
Yeah.
But hold on, if the Batman group, was so successful, what about the other kids? Did the researchers notice any differences, like based on age?
They did, and it's actually pretty interesting.
Okay.
The 6-year-olds were generally more persistent than the 4-year-olds, no matter which group they were in.
Okay.
And this actually makes sense when you think about how self-control develops.
Right, so the older kids kind of had a little bit of a head start in the willpower department.
Exactly. Think of it like a muscle.
Okay.
The more you practice self-control,
Yeah.
the stronger it gets.
Oh, that makes sense.
So while those 4-year-olds are still developing that ability, the 6-year-olds have had more practice like flexing their self-control muscles.
Right.
And this is where things get really interesting because it suggests that we can actually train our brains to become more focused and disciplined.
Okay, I am officially hooked. I have to know more about how this self-distancing technique works. Did the researchers kind of dig into the specific mechanisms behind it?
Oh, they did, and it gets pretty fascinating.
Okay, let's hear.
So they dug deeper, and it seems like self-distancing works on a few different levels.
Okay.
First, it helps you regulate your emotions.
Okay.
So remember that feeling of frustration, like when you're stuck on something?
Yeah.
When you take a step back, you look at the situation from a different perspective.
Right.
It's easier to kind of manage those negative emotions and stay calm.
Well, like when you're about to just lose it with your computer
Yeah.
and you imagine yourself as a Zen master, just very calmly troubleshooting the issue. I've totally tried that.
Yeah.
It's like you're giving yourself this pep talk,
Yeah.
but from a wiser, more experienced point of view.
Right. Exactly.
Interesting. And it works with kids too. So
It does.
by pretending to be Batman, they're tapping into that superhero confidence and resilience,
Uh-huh.
which helps them stay positive and motivated even when the task is boring. So it's not just about controlling your emotions. It's also about boosting your motivation.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, because think about it. If you're telling yourself, Batman is working hard,
Right.
you're not just stating a fact,
Yeah.
you're setting an expectation.
Right.
You're reinforcing a positive behavior.
Yeah.
And you're basically giving yourself a little motivational boost
That's so
from
true.
an admired figure.
Okay, so we've got emotion regulation, we've got motivation. What else is going on in the brain when we do this self-distancing thing?
Well, it also seems to enhance something called executive function.
Executive function of it.
Yeah, and these are those mental processes that help us plan, focus, control our impulses.
Okay.
So basically, all the skills that you need to power through that to-do list.
So by taking that mental step back,
Mm-hmm.
we're actually giving our brain a chance to kind of organize and prioritize.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like a mental decluttering session.
It is, and it's like creating a mental workspace where you can strategize and make better decisions without getting overwhelmed by distractions or emotions.
And when you think about it, that's exactly what Batman does.
Right.
He's always analyzing the situation,
Mm-hmm.
planning his next move, staying laser focused on his goal.
Exactly.
Okay, I have to admit, I am starting to see the appeal of having a bat signal over my desk when I'm trying to work.
Uh-huh. Right.
But let's get real for a second.
Okay.
This all sounds amazing, but is there any evidence that this actually works in the long run?
Yeah.
I mean, can pretending to be Batman really help kids build lasting self-control?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is. It is.
And while this particular study didn't examine the long-term effects,
Okay.
there's a growing body of research that's suggesting that practicing these self-distancing techniques can lead to lasting improvements in self-control.
So any skill, the more you practice it, the better you get at it.
Exactly. Think of it like building mental muscle. The more you engage in these activities that require self-control,
Right.
the stronger those neural pathways become.
Right.
And the easier it becomes to resist temptation and stay focused.
Makes sense.
And what's really exciting is that this can have a ripple effect in other areas of life.
Wait, hold on. You're saying that something as simple as pretending to be Batman can actually have a positive impact on kids' overall development?
It's definitely possible.
Wow.
Yeah, studies have shown that children with strong self-control tend to perform better academically, have healthier relationships, and are even more likely to make healthier choices as adults.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so while we can't say for certain that self-distancing is like this magic bullet,
Right?
it's certainly a promising tool for setting kids up for success.
Wow, this is truly groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah,
I bet parents and educators are all ears right now.
I would hope so.
But before we get into the practical applications of this, I
Sure.
want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about self-distancing as adults.
Oh.
Do you think, we can benefit from this Batman effect too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, we all face those moments of temptation and distraction, whether it's that social media notification or that extra slice of cake.
Oh, yeah.
And self-distancing can be just as effective for adults as it is for kids.
Okay.
It's all about finding those strategies that help you create that mental distance from the immediate urge
Right.
and tap into your wiser, more rational self.
So next time I'm reaching for that second cookie, I should ask myself, what would Michelle Obama do?
There you go.
Right.
That's a great example.
Or think about, your long-term goals. If you're trying to, save money,
Right.
you might ask yourself, what would a financially responsible person do?
Exactly.
It's all about shifting your perspective.
Yeah.
And aligning your actions with your values.
Right.
Okay, I am totally on board with this.
Yeah.
It's like having a personal life coach in your head, but instead of paying them an hourly rate, you just have to channel your inner superhero. That's exactly.
I love it, but let's be real.
Okay.
Not everyone is a superhero fan.
Right.
Are there other ways to practice self-distancing besides role-playing?
Of course. Yeah, role-playing is just one tool in the self-distancing toolbox.
Okay.
There are many other strategies that you can use,
All right.
and it's all about finding what works best for you.
Okay. I am all ears.
All right.
Let's dive into those strategies I think our listeners are ready to unlock their inner willpower superheroes.
Let's do it.
So we've got this role-playing thing, which is awesome for kids and, maybe even some adults who are willing to embrace their inner superhero.
Yeah.
But what about for those of us who need, a more subtle approach?
Right. Well, one technique is to simply use your own name when you're talking to yourself.
Oh.
So instead of saying, I can't do this,
Yeah.
try saying, using your own name and say, you've got this.
Oh, interesting.
It sounds kind of silly.
Yeah.
But that small shift in perspective can actually make a big difference. It's like you're kind of giving yourself that pep talk from a friend or a mentor, someone you trust and admire.
Yeah, exactly.
I could see how that would be way more effective than just, beating yourself up with that negative self-talk.
Right, and it taps into that same idea of creating that distance
Right.
between you and the immediate emotion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Another strategy is to actually focus on your future self.
Okay.
So imagine yourself having already achieved your goal.
Okay.
How do you feel? What are the benefits?
Right.
This can really help you connect with your long-term motivation
Yeah.
and make those short-term sacrifices feel more worthwhile.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It's like giving yourself a glimpse of the finish line,
Exactly.
which can be super motivating when you're really feeling tempted to just give up.
Right.
It's like, hold on, future me is counting on you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And remember,
Yeah.
self-distancing isn't about denying your emotions.
Right.
Or pretending that things are easy.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging those challenges and finding healthy ways to manage them
Okay.
so you can stay on track towards your goals.
So it's like having a toolbox full of mental strategies,
Uh-huh.
and you can choose the right tool for the job depending on the situation.
Yeah.
This is so empowering.
It is.
I'm already feeling it more equipped to tackle those everyday willpower
I'm
challenges.
glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Batman effect,
Okay.
what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember from all of this?
I think the most important message is that we all have the power to change our thoughts and behaviors. Self-control isn't something you're born with.
Right.
It's a skill that you can develop and strengthen over time.
Oh, that's encouraging.
It is. And with a little creativity and some clever strategies,
Yeah.
you can overcome those willpower challenges and achieve your goals.
So whether it's channeling your inner superhero,
Right.
talking to yourself like a trusted friend, or envisioning your future self, there's a self-distancing technique out there for everyone.
Exactly.
And who knows, maybe this is the secret to unlocking that next level of productivity, focus, and well-being.
Maybe so.
Well, on that note, we want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into this fascinating world of self-control
Yes.
and this really surprising power of the Batman effect.
It is surprising.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and are feeling inspired to put these techniques into practice in your own life.
Yeah, go out there and be the best version of yourself.
Until next time, keep diving deep.